So I'm joined by Max Wilson, the founder of Spokesafe. How are you doing, Max?
I'm all right. Pretty good.
How was life for you post BGV program?
It's good. It's like I was saying, it's pretty manic actually. It's you leave the program thinking you're going to do one thing over the course, or thinking you're going to do a number of things over the course of 3 to 6 months, and then lo and behold, 3 weeks into it, you realize that those three things either need to happen faster or need to happen in a different way, or need to not happen at all, as the case may be sometimes. But all good changes. But yeah, just sort of yeah, quick on the
Cool.
feet.
So would it be possible if you could kind of say what the headlines are for what Spokesafe is, how it works, and why you created Spokesafe?
Yeah, sure. So Spokesafe effectively allows cyclists to access a network of secure bike parking spaces instantly through an app. We started the business about a year ago, and the first sort of stage of the business is going to be building out these centrally located bike storage hubs, which store anywhere between sort of 40 to 100 or more bikes at a time. And then those get rented out to either individuals or companies who need to offsite some of their bike parking. The sort of long-term vision of the business is to effectively make it like the Boris Bike Network, but for your private bike, so that wherever you want to go across London, if you have a Spokesafe membership, you can instantly book and access a secure bike parking space. And it's really about how do you encourage people to get on their bikes and move around through cycling, and that has implications with congestion and pollution and the health of cities, both sort of physically, environmentally, but also the personal, physical, and mental health of cyclists. So we're all about getting people around cities sustainably and quickly and as happily as possible, actually, because cycling's fun too.
Awesome. Now, as everyone will know, when it comes to being a cyclist in London, there are a number of pain points. How does Spokesafe alleviate any of these pain points and make it easy to be or become a cyclist?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a couple pain points. I mean, the most obvious one is, we're a business about security, about not getting your bike stolen. And a bike is stolen in the UK, I think every 90 seconds or something like that. That's just registered bike thefts. So first and foremost, what we're trying to do is alleviate the stress and the headache of having your bike stolen. So that's the main pinch point we take away. There's also just a problem of availability in a lot of the central spaces. There's just not enough places to park your bike. So we're effectively adding, through a private means, extra capacity, extra infrastructure to cities that need it. I mean, if you look at the London plan, there's an extra 50,000 spaces, bike parking spaces, that need to be put on just street level over the next 5 years. And that was actually to keep up with sort of pre-corona demand. So if you figure the way that the bike sales have gone through the roof over the course of the last 3 months, there's a huge need for additional infrastructure just to meet the sort of demand side of things. So it's about security, it's about provision, and it's about ease of use. It's about, freedom, being able to look and go, okay, I need to go across town. I know there's a reliable place to park my bike, and off you go. It's just about, from that perspective, it's about freedom.
Cool. And so what have you built so far, and what have you learned from this whole, development process?
Yeah, so we started off about a year ago, just building our first hub unit by Oxford Circus Station in an underground car park. So that's up and that's full. We opened our second unit in Soho 2 weeks ago, which is great. And then we've got a big pipeline of sites going forward, which we'll build out probably over the next month and a half to 2 months. So that'll be a site in Mayfair, site in Trafalgar Square, site in Harley Street, and probably additional sites in Finsbury Square and Shoreditch as well. So those are the big indoor hub units that I mentioned a second ago. One of the big initiatives that we're working on now is actually building our modular bike locker system, which can be installed externally at street level. So the idea being that you can just plot these around the city, and it effectively fills in the gaps that the hubs aren't accounting for. That's where you get this big network effect. So we're doing a lot of building physical units. We're doing a lot of prototyping on the locker units. In fact, they're being manufactured in the factory at the moment over in East London. And then we're working on the tech side of things as well, because we need to get our app built to deal with the customer onboarding and sign-up process and the physical access of the interaction with the digital lock. So a little bit of product development all over the place, but also just focusing on building spaces that customers can use straight away, because we've got a long waiting list of people to get in, and we want to help them do that.
On the note of that waiting list and the whole user acquisition strategy, how are you getting the word out about Spokesafe?
A lot of it just comes through organic traffic through Google. We've spent a good year building up a little bit of an online presence, blogging, getting the keywords right. So all of the customers that we've signed up actually over the course of the last probably 9 months have come just through organic traffic through the website. So we don't do much marketing spend at the moment, actually, which is quite good. I'm sure that will change once we've got more of these lockers up and running, but actually a lot of the units that we're building out going forward are already filled. So we've got pre-lets in place with a lot of big companies to take those. So we're not doing too much marketing. We do a bit of social media. I do a bit of social media, actually, very poorly. It's not one of my favorite things. I don't do it personally, so you can imagine how bad I'm doing it for a business. So we do a little bit of social media. That's effectively treading water. But yeah, most of it's just organic traffic through Google.
I beg to differ. I like the Instagram channel. That's around London. I can
Yeah,
recommend it.
exactly.
So what is keeping you busy at the moment? What's on your immediate horizon?
So immediate horizon is getting these next sort of 4 sites open, making sure the customers are happy, getting them onboarded, getting them using it. Troubleshooting, there's always, because the spaces that you're dealing with are always different, there's always a little bit of troubleshooting. Just about to say, like I said, kickstart the physical locker development, prototyping, so working with my product designer and working with the factory to get that off the ground and getting that prototyped. And then a large part of my day spent, well, if it's not doing the customer inquiries, which is lovely but time consuming, a lot of it's about pipeline work. So finding new sites and getting those in the pipeline so that we've got a continual pipeline to work through effectively, because that's what the business is about, delivering spaces.
Awesome. And then so looking much more to the long term now, what are your kind of big goals and ambitions for Spokesafe?
Well, I'd like us to be, ultimately I want the business to be a utility service, and I don't want it to be something that you necessarily think about using. It's just something that you use because it makes your life easier and more efficient, and it just becomes part of your daily routine. So a big part of that is going to be developing and iterating and refining and developing and iterating and refining our apps to make sure that that customer journey and the user experience is as good as possible. And also working on our outdoor locker. So the big situation we want to get into earlier is just making sure that we've got a really nice, neat user experience between our physical products, which will exist in the real world and the built environment, and our digital product, which will sit in somebody's phone. There's some bigger things we'd like to look into getting forward, which is being a bit more helpful in terms of how people actually get from A to B. So at the moment, we're only concerned about the end of the journey, people parking their bike, but it'd be interesting to see if we could help people get to the point where they're parking their bike as well. So there's a few things we're working on there.
Awesome. Well, that all sounds, really exciting. And it's been great to learn a bit more about Spokesafe. Thank you very much for your time.
Cool. Thank you.
Take care.